This is Sayyid Ashik Hussain with you today, and we are going to discuss a prose lesson from Tulip series book 8, and this is the English class, and with me are 8th class students. Today we are going to have a discussion on the topic, or we can say that we are going to read a prose lesson from Tulip series book 8, and the name of the lesson is "For God's sake, hold thy tongue." But my dear students, before we'll go through the actual text, before we will read the actual content of the lesson, let us have a discussion about a simple thing, or we can say let us have a difference about good and bad deeds. For example, let us say that deeds and habits. What do you mean by deeds and habits? Deeds and habits are those actions, those activities which we perform on the routine basis, or which we can perform at any time. Deeds, we can simply say, are actions, they are tasks, and those tasks which we do repeatedly are called habits. Now, my dear students, have you ever thought that these deeds and these habits can be of two types, can be of two kinds, or we can say that these habits and these activities, these habits and these deeds can be classified on the basis of their virtuality into two categories. For example, we can say that we have good deeds and we can also have some deeds that can be termed as bad deeds. Now, good deeds and bad deeds. Now, the question is how we can differentiate between a good deed and a bad deed. We must know that which deeds can be termed as good and which deeds can be termed as bad. For example, let me talk about good deeds. Good deeds are those deeds which fetch you respect. First thing about these good deeds are those which give you, which fetch you, which achieve you respect. Respect at your home, among those family members. Your parents respect you, your siblings respect you, your relatives respect you, and this respect you are getting on the basis of some deeds. If you are getting that kind of respect from these people, you can term that deed as a good deed. Then it's not only your home, it's not only your family members, it's not only your parents, your siblings, your relatives that you will get respect of any good deed from them. Then if we move toward school, in our school we have teachers, we have our classmates, we have our schoolmates, and if we do some kinds of deeds in our school and these teachers and these schoolmates and classmates respect us, looking and watching those deeds are again called good deeds or good habits. Then after home and school, there is one more place that is called society. Society means that environment, that surrounding in which we live. There are people with whom we have different kinds of relations. It's not necessary that in our society we have only teachers, we have only students, and we have only our parents and relatives. No. In our society we might have neighbors. In our society, we might have different kinds of people with whom we are doing our daily routine of our life. And in this society, we have a very important place, and that is market. So when you go to the market, if by the virtue of your deeds, by the virtue of your habits, people in your society and people in your market are respecting you, looking and watching your those habits and those deeds, you can consider, you can treat all those deeds as good deeds. Now, my dear students, this is somehow you can think about those deeds which can be termed as good deeds. So this is one point. You can remember that if a habit or if a deed, if an activity, if a task is getting you respect, is getting you respect in your home, in your school, in your society, in your market, you can treat that deed as a good deed. Now, let's move to some deeds which are not considered as good deeds. So these deeds are considered as bad deeds. Here you are getting respect, but God forbidden, these bad deeds, what they fetch you is shame or humiliation. When an action, when a task, when a habit gets you or fetches you, God forbid, shame at your home, with your family members, at school, with the teachers and other people at the school, for example, your classmates, your schoolmates, and if again, God forbid, you feel shame and humiliation in society, in market, but the cause of that humiliation, cause of that shame will be some kind of deed or some kind of habit. So if the result is shame and humiliation, that deed will be considered as a bad deed. But if you get respect by any deed and any habit, we can say that that action, that deed, that task will be a good deed. Now, my dear students, let us move forward and classify some of the deeds as good and bad deeds. For example, we will see some parallels that if you do the same task by one way, it will be termed as a good deed, and if you will do same task on the other in the other way, it will be considered as a bad deed. For example, let me tell you about your speech. Speech. When you speak out the things, when you say the words, these words can be either true or false, or we can say you can tell truth or you can tell a lie. Now, my dear student, this is very simple. Why? If you tell the truth, people will be happy, people will respect you because they know that you are telling truth. But if we tell a lie and people know that we are telling a lie, what will be the result? We will be ashamed in the market, we will be ashamed before those people before whom we are speaking that lie. So when we talk of speech, it's up to us that what sort of words will utter from our mouth. If they are true, so they'll get us respect, but if they are not true, they are false, or we are speaking lie, it will not give us respect, but it will give us shame. Now let us move to another thing. Time. When we use this term time, we can spend this time into fruitful activities. will use this time, will spend this time into fruitful activities, but at the same time we can use this time in futile activities. So here we can say that we are wasting our time. When we spend time properly, it will fetch us good results, but when we waste our time, you can yourself understand, आपको खुद समझ आ जाएगा किन कामों में हम टाइम को सही सही इस्तेमाल करते हैं और किन कामों में हम टाइम को ज़ाया करते हैं. For example, if we study at our home, that will be a fruitful use of time. If we pray in our masjids, mandir, gurdwara, whatsoever your religion demands, we can say that it was a good use of time. But at the same time, if we waste our time watching TV or watching cell phones and other things, that we can simply say that we are wasting our time. So again, time utilized fruitfully will be called a good deed, and time wasted in futile activities and futile those habits, we can say that we have wasted the time and this is a bad deed. So then there is respect again. If you respect people, if you respect people around you, that will be a good deed. But God forbidden, if you abuse people, if you scold people, that will be a bad habit, that will be a bad deed. Again, respect people around you, respect elders, respect teachers, respect your parents, and respect everyone in your society. Offer salam and prayers and other things. It will be considered as a good deed. Then when you, God forbidden, abuse people around you, when you scold them, cause must be anything. You might be right at your place, but this abuse is not a good thing, this scolding is not a good thing. So respecting people will be considered as a good deed, and scolding or abusing will be considered as a bad deed. Now when we talk of doing different things, we again mention time. When we mention time, we can do anything on time and we can do anything late. For example, we have to go to school every day. If we go to school on time, we'll be considered as good students, and that coming on to this school on time will be considered as good habit and good deed. But if we go to school late, that will be considered as a bad habit. So these are some of the parallels where we can think that what kind of action, what kind of habit will be a good habit, and what kind of habit or action will be a bad habit or a bad deed. Now again, when we rise early in the morning, or we can say that when we rise in the morning, we can rise early or we can rise late. So now I think you can understand now, you can compare and you can make difference between those good habits and bad habits. तो यहाँ पे टाइम के हवाले से हमने 2-3 पॉइंट्स यहाँ पे बता दिए. टाइम पे स्कूल आना अच्छी बात होगी, लेट स्कूल आना अच्छी बात नहीं होगी, सुबह जल्दी उठना अच्छी बात होगी, लेकिन सुबह देर से उठना अच्छी बात नहीं होगी. तो माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, दिस वाज समथिंग दैट विल कंपेयर. वी हैव compared between same thing in two different ways. It's up to us how we'll perform, how we'll take our actions. If we do the things rightfully, it will be called that these are good habits, these are good deeds. But If something happens wrong somewhere, we can say that we have not done the good deeds. So, my dear students, it was a differentiation between good habits and good deeds and bad habits and bad deeds. Before we'll go through the actual text, here is a thematic mind map. Now, my dear students, after having this kind of discussion, I think that you can now point out towards some actions that in our society or in our world or in our life we can consider those activities as evil. Evil is the word which I used here now. Evil simply means a bad deed or a bad habit. Here is a thematic mind map where at the central place in the hub of this thematic mind map I have written the word evil, and then I have written many words arrowing them from the evil towards that point, where I have tried to mention different kinds of bad deeds which people consider as bad, which our law considered as bad, which our society considered as evil or bad deed. For example, as earlier discussed, telling lies. Whenever you tell a lie, that will be an evil. And when we do an evil action, when we do a bad deed, that will cause some bad effects either to ourselves or to others, or at the times it will badly affect both the speaker as well as the listener. This is the first action, this is the first deed that is considered as evil. Now, then I have written here theft. Theft is the word which means in Urdu we can say चोरी करना. चोरी की बात जब आई, so you students, you can understand yourself that कि चोरी करना अच्छी बात नहीं है, चोरी करना बुरी बात है. Stealing things, stealing things from others is not a good action, is not a good deed. When an action is not good, that means it is a bad action, it is an evil. और हम ये भी कह सकते हैं कि चोरी करना जो है एक बड़ा गुनाह है. Then I have written a word here, bribery. Bribery. The word has been derived from bribe. Bribery word has been derived from bribe. और ये bribe का लफ्ज हमने सुना है, ये सीधा सीधा जुड़ा है रिश्वत लफ्ज से. और जब रिश्वत की बात आई, you can better understand what is bribe and what is bribery. Bribery is the action, or it is the act of bribing people for illegal jobs or illegal tasks. When you want to do some illegal task and the authorities are not allowing you, what you are doing, you are investing some money illegally to some authorities, and they allow you to do that bad thing. So bribery is again an evil. Move to another point, that is murder. Murder means to kill a human body, to kill a human being. तो उर्दू में हम सीधा सीधा कह सकते हैं कि कत्ल करना. जब बात कत्ल की आती है तो जाहिर सी बात है हम क्या कह सकते हैं कि कत्ल करना एक बड़ा गुनाह है. To kill a human being is an evil task, is an evil deed, is not a good thing. Then again another evil, that is nepotism. Nepotism is something that you favor your relatives, you favor your personal friends, you favor your siblings illegally. That means if our relatives, if our personal friends or siblings, they don't have any ability, but still we are giving them a chance, and we are favoring them. When we favor our relatives, when we favor our personal friends, that is called nepotism, and this nepotism is again an evil. Now, moving to another word, that is drug addiction. My dear students, as you are in class 8, you have already approached to adolescent period, and this period is that period where we have to be very cautious when we nurture our those habits. And this drug addiction, you have to try to keep away yourselves from this kind of evil. What is this drug addiction? This drug addiction is such a habit when your body is totally dependent on some illegally purchased drugs. Drug simply means medicine. If I am ill and doctor is prescribing me medicine, that is not drug addiction. No, definitely I am taking the drugs, but that is not a drug addiction. When you take the drugs for your amusement, when you take the drugs willingly without any prescription, and those kinds of drugs which affect your consciousness, that is called drug addiction. When you get the habit of this drug addiction, God forbidden, this kills a young man, and he is not then able to understand what is right and what is wrong, and he feels that simply he is dependent on those kinds of illegal drugs. Then I have pointed out here one more word, that is favoritism. What is this favoritism? Favoritism is the word which has been derived from favor. In nepotism, we have already discussed this favor. When we favor our relatives, our siblings, our personal friends, that will be called nepotism. So we can say that nepotism is again a favoritism, but a limited favoritism. But a favoritism is where you can favor any person which can be of your lobby, whether he has the ability or not. These are some of the evil deeds that we normally see in a society. Then the last one which I have mentioned in this thematic mind map is backbiting. My dear students, backbiting is something that you speak about a person, whether you speak the truth or you speak a lie, but you always speak when the person about you speak is not present. Backbiting is something that you speak about a person behind his back. Behind his back means you are speaking those words, you are speaking about that person when the person is not present. So why this backbiting has been put into cloud in this thematic mind map? It is the only reason that our present text is about this kind of vice and this kind of evil. So in this lesson we are going to read in details about this backbiting. Now, my dear students, after having an introduction of the lesson, after having a detailed difference between good and bad deeds, and after having a thematic mind map of different evils, now what we will do, we will have a short discussion about the title of our lesson, that is, for God's sake hold thy tongue. तो उर्दू में अगर हम इसका तर्जमा करते हैं इस टाइटल का, तो हम ये कह सकते हैं खुदारा, फॉर गॉड सेक, खुदारा, होल्ड दाई टंग, चुप रहिए, अपनी जुबान को काबू में रखिए, अपनी जुबान पे लगाम लगाइए. सी, फॉर गॉड सेक इज अ फ्रेज, ये पूरा फ्रेज है, गॉड सेक, But in the other part of the title, hold means stop. Hold means stop. Thy is the old form of your, and tongue, you already know that it is that part of our body with which we are able to speak. That means stop your tongue. No, not stop your tongue, but stop your words. Those words which will not help us in any way, which will cause some evil effects in the society, which you say about a person who is not present when you are saying the things. So, to continue, this was about the title, for God's sake, hold thy tongue. But my dear students, you must know that whenever you go through any piece of writing, whenever you go through any literary piece, you have to keep in mind that every lesson might have, or we can say must have, some learning objectives, because at the elementary level it is not something that you are reading something to get some theme and other things. So if we go through the chart, I have written a few learning outcomes that will follow while completing this lesson. The first learning outcome is to develop basic language skills, and here I have written LSRW. That means we have to develop listening, speaking, reading and writing. Whenever you are in English class, you have to develop these 4 skills one by one or collectively. Now moving to point number 2, to develop vocabulary of the language. That means we have to learn about those new words which have been used in that context. And then point number 3 is to improve fluency, pronunciation, proper pauses in speaking and reading, because this fluency, this proper pronunciation, proper pauses, this will help the listener to understand what we are speaking or what we are reading. Point number 4 is to understand theme and content. This is very important, because the ultimate aim of any language is that we must be able to understand what has been written or what we are reading. So point number 4 will give you or will help you to understand the content of the lesson and the purpose of the lesson. And the point number 5 is to learn about some evils in the society, especially backbiting. But my dear students, here the time does not allow us in this session. I'll meet you in the next session and we'll continue this lesson in that session. Thank you very much. Khuda Hafiz.